Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. My name's Jacob and this is Luke. We're going to be doing our normal monthly recommendations since it's August. So we'll be recommending, both of us will be recommending free shows. And if you can, maybe comment to recommend some shows to us since, I think we all watch different shows. So it will be nice for that. Did you want to start off first, Luke?
Okay, should I do my three and then you do your three, or we do one each at a time?
Maybe one each at a time.
Okay, so the three shows I picked this month are all on Stan, which is I haven't watched a lot of stuff on Stan recently, but now I've gotten back into it. So because another show that I'm not going to recommend that I recommended last month, Power. They brought out a new season, so I've been watching that, and then because that's on Stan, I've been seeing all the other recommendations. So the first one I'm going to pick is a show called All American, which is a Stan exclusive here in Australia. In America, I think it's on Star or Stars, something like that. I don't know, but that's how you watch in Australia. So All American's in its, I'm going to say fourth season. It's still going with weekly episodes coming out, and it's based on the true life story of an American NFL player. So it follows a kid that's in a place called Crenshaw, which is supposedly like a real rough neighborhood of Los Angeles. And he's a star football player, and he gets convinced and recruited to go play at Beverly State High School, which is in a really, really rich neighborhood. But in America, you can only go to the schools if you live in the area. But there's like strict rules against paying people. So he kind of gets adopted by the coach of this team in this fancy school, and he goes there. So this actually happened in real life, and this guy went on to be a successful NFL player. But the show follows that, the controversy going from a poor school to a rich school, coming up against his old school, still wanting to be part of his old neighborhood, his friends all being like in gangs and there being shootings and violence, and him wanting to give back to the community. So it's following that, and it's just good. Like, it focuses a lot on the football, which is fun to watch. The storyline's good. It does have a lot of characters, but it's enjoyable. I think if you're a sports fan, you'll get something out of it. It's maybe not for everyone, but if you do like sports, then it's a worthwhile show to watch. If you like the first couple episodes, you'll like the whole series because it continues pretty consistently. Okay, what's one of your recommendations?
The first recommendation is on Binge, and it's called Breeders, starring Martin Freeman out of The Hobbits and Sherlock Holmes. And the concept of Breeders is that him and his wife are raising their two kids, and it's just the day-to-day life of parenting and work, and it's a comedy, and I just think it's really funny, and I highly recommend it because it's what fatherhood on Netflix should have been. It doesn't, creep between how it shows you how hard parenting is, and the dad, mum, Martin Freeman swears, and you see the hard parts of parenting, and I like it because it doesn't pretend that it's easy. What fatherhood, just as an example, kind of doesn't show you the hard parts, what I think they should have. Breeders actually shows you the hard parts and what parenting is more like.
Is this like an ongoing show, or is it a limited series?
There's 2 seasons currently on Binge, and it's been renewed for a 3rd season.
Okay, and what keeps the show going? Is there like a main theme or something that...
It's just the day-to-day lives of what happens in the show. You get, his character name is Paul. You got his parents, and then you got the wife's parents, and The kids are the son is Luke and he's 10 in season 1, and the girl is 7. And then by season 2 they get different actors because they increase their age, so there's a little bit of an age difference. And then just the day-to-day life of balancing work and raising kids. And it's funny because of how swearing and stuff like that.
Okay. What other questions I want to know about this show? Where's it set?
England?
England, okay. So far, what would your rating be of it out of like 5?
I'd probably give it around like a 3.5 to a 4. Like it's really good. It's a quick watch. There's 10 episodes per season, so it's 20 episodes. It's really bingeable. It's really quick to watch. Guess my only nitpick is that they tend to focus on the son a little bit too much instead of the girl, but that's just a small nitpick.
Okay. My other recommendation, I picked a show called Bump, which is it's a Stan original. It's had 1 season and it's renewed for a second. When you click on it on Stan, it says underneath it renewed for a second season. Probably delayed in filming because it is filmed in Sydney and COVID and everything that's going on. Maybe they have filmed it already, I don't know. So it's written and directed by, for the life of me I can't think of her name, but she is the mother of the main character in this show. And she's a famous Australian actor who's been in shows like All Saints and like Home and Away and Neighbours. Like if you've seen her, you'd recognise her if you saw her. We'll put a photo up. She basically, her daughter is in high school. I think she's meant to be in grade 11, something like that. And she is at school one day. First episode, she just feels really sick and like goes to the bathroom, starts like feeling real sick and feeling pains in her stomach. Her mum's a teacher at the school, so her mum comes in because her friends are like, "Oh, your daughter's sick." She comes, she's like, "You're right, this guy better call an ambulance." So she gets in the ambulance. And the ambulance is like, "Well, you're like giving birth, you're pregnant." And she's like, "I didn't know I was pregnant." So then she gives birth, and then the rumours about where the baby came from and who's the dad. And the dad's like he's like the charming guy at the school that everyone likes, and he's like good at sport, and his dad's also a teacher at the school. So the show kind of follows her not wanting to be a mother, him wanting to be involved in the life of the kid, and then them not having a relationship prior to that. It was just like a one-night stand thing. And they come from very different backgrounds. He's come from a very religious, I think you're like Spanish.
Catholic?
Yeah, he's Catholic, but I think they're like Spanish or Portuguese. And she's not religious at all. Her parents are alternate. Her dad's a pot smoker that doesn't have a job, and her mum's the principal of this school. Her parents are having a divorce, and I know I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but it's just very real. Like it feels like something that would happen in Australia. Like it has a lot of really Australian jokes and references to characters. They've got like all the different stereotypes you'd see in an Australian school. The main character, the main male character, the father, his best friend's like this funny like Kiwi guy, and it's just very Australian. Like I think if you're an Aussie, you'd find something you could relate to it. And yeah, it's good that the story's a bit out there, like being pregnant and not knowing it, and it does have little bits of interesting drama, but I think it's more watching it just for the relatability, being a good Australian show.
So how many episodes does it have?
There's 10 to 12 in the first season. I'm not certain, but it's a decent length season. But yeah, for an Australian show, I think it does well. I don't think it'll appeal to an international audience, unfortunately. So I think it's going to be one of those. Sure, next recommendation.
Number 2 is on Apple TV Plus, and it's Defending Jacob. It's a limited series over there, and it's starring Chris Evans as a defense assistant attorney. And the concept of defending Jacob is basically there's been a murder at his son's school, and just trying to find out who's done it and things like that. And obviously by the title, his son is Jacob.
Yeah.
So no spoilers there because, it's his son. He's basically, defending his honor and things like that. But the first episode basically trying to come up with different suspects, and then you're trying to it's basically a murder mystery thriller. So trying to work out who actually did commit the crime of this young boy at the same school, and then the show makes you think it's this pedophile at the start because he was at the crime scene in his car, and it's very suspicious. And then the son has a knife, but he swears that he brought it. So the show is clever. It makes you think different things, and because it's a limited series and it has Chris Evans, who is Steve Rogers in the Avengers series, I just think it was a really good show to watch. It kept me very suspenseful, very second guessing, because it very clever. It makes you think, oh, maybe Jacob did do it, maybe he didn't do it. And yeah, it's very, if you like murder mysteries and wanting to know what happened, I would highly recommend it.
Where's this on again?
Apple TV.
Okay, and so limited series, how many episodes have we got in?
I believe it was 8 or 10.
Okay, are they long episodes?
Yeah, around 50 minutes.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so my last recommendation, I tossed and turned between what I was going to pick. I wanted to pick something that's, again, it's a bit different. So I went with another show on Stan. I went with Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So this just finished season 2. This, again, it premieres on some US network, and when the season's on, a new episode comes out every Tuesday night. This is a really interesting show that had a good concept, but they kind of butchered it, I reckon.
Yeah, I remember you talking about how the concept is, and yeah, you've talked about it before.
Yeah, so I'm bringing it up because season 2 just finished. So the concept of the show is this character, she goes in for it, she has headaches or migraine, so she goes into the hospital, gets an MRI. During the MRI, there's like a blackout on the machine malfunctions, and then somehow, because someone was playing music on the computer, she then develops this skill of being able to hear people's inner thoughts as a musical. So it's like, sounds really cool. It's a show where each episode there's all these musical numbers, but it doesn't really make sense that she's in this world and she's walking down the street and she sees two people argue, but then they start breaking out to song and dance, and she continues with her life, and she can see this happening, and all of a sudden it stops. So it's like she can hear she has a superpower where she can hear people's thoughts, but only through music. But then they don't kind of tell her what's going on. It's like the song, if it's a happy song or a sad song, it's always like some hit famous song, but they try and pick one that relates to the mood of the person. So it follows her with love interest. She works in a tech company that's meant to be basically Apple, but it's called something different. But they create phones and computers. She's like a female coder. It just has a cool concept, but then it just runs away with it. There's like, she tells people she can hear their inner thoughts, and then some episodes she's loses her power, or her power starts playing up, so then she goes and sees people that try and help her, and then a character dies and she can still hear them through their thoughts and singing, and there's heaps of things that don't really make sense about the show, but it is a bit of fun. They're like, you enjoy it, the music's cool, the singing's really high quality, but I think it had the premise of the show is actually better than the show. Like, if you watch the preview, you'd go, wow, this is going to be awesome. And it was for parts, but it didn't live up to what you thought it could have been. I don't know how they could have done it better, but they did have a clever idea there. But it's hard to make it work. And then season 2 just ends super dumb. Like she
Season 1 ends or
season 2.
Oh, okay.
Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but the powers just go stupid, and it's like, well, I don't know what the show wants to become. Is it a show about her and her powers, or is it a show about her and her love interest? I don't know. I don't know where it continues on, and yeah, it's a bit. It's one of those ones where I guess maybe you don't want to think about it, because if you overthink it, it doesn't make any sense.
So would you say season 1 was better or season 2 was better?
Oh, season 1 was definitely better. Season 2, I think they try to make it more serious and add in like tragedy and death and things like that. So season 1 was definitely better.
And it sounds like the problem is that the concept sounds really interesting, but they had problems executing it, because sometimes writing it is easier than actually acting it and executing it.
I don't know if it's that they didn't execute it right. It's just, it sounds really cool, the idea that someone can hear people's thoughts through musical, but then when you really think about it, like, how does that work? That doesn't make sense. Like, where does she go? Is she like daydreaming and the rest of the world continues? Or because you see her and she'll be in a room and like every single person in the room will start singing and dancing and joining in, and then the scene continues on. It doesn't like she snaps out of it and she goes back and she was like all in her head. It just continues on as though it happened. And if you think about it, you're like, what happened? What were those people doing? Or were people looking at her going, what is she doing? Is she just staring blankly at this wall? But I guess you don't want to overthink it. If you think about it, it doesn't make sense. So, but it's fun for what it is. Okay, what's your last recommendation?
Other show on Binge, what is also a limited season, is The Outsider, and this is a book by Stephen King, but I know some people might go, oh, Stephen King, but I would go in with just watching the show, because it's a sort of show that it seems very basic at the beginning, but it's something else. Basically, the concept of the show is that Jason Bateman is in it. He plays a local coach that coaches Udall League, and then there's been a murder of a Udall boy. So the police think it's him, but the problem is that he was somewhere else, but people have seen him with bloody clothes. There's been blood on his clothes, and then clearly he's murdered this kid, but you can't be at two places at once, so that's pretty interesting. So basically, the concept of the show is working out, was he innocent, was he guilty, and what happened.
Is this a limited series too, or no?
Yeah.
It is, okay. How many episodes?
10.
Okay. I do like the sound of this show. I do like Jason Bateman as an actor, and I do like a limited series, and I do like Stephen King.
Yeah.
So yeah, is this recent? Because I haven't heard of it.
Came out last year.
Okay. And without spoiling it, were you happy with the ending? The ending's not going to ruin the show, and like, or is it worth watching it because it has a good twist?
The ending is one that, you know how there's two ways to end something. One that has a clear one, or the one that gives the viewers the chance to go. It can either be two things.
Knowing Stephen King, it's probably the second option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it depends how you like something to be ended.
Okay. Now that's cool to know. Because if the ending was bad, then I wouldn't invest the time. But you're happy with that ending?
Yeah, it's a sort of ending that makes you think, and it's just not a clear ending, if that makes sense. It's not like, you know.
Okay. No, I like that. What kind of rating would you give it?
I would probably give it like 4 excellent. Highly recommend watching it. Okay. Probably best acted show that I've probably seen so far. The only negative that I could probably give it is that it's a slow burn, but it's worth the burn, and then eventually when the characters get to where they need to go to, it feels very easy, and then you think, the hard work. They did so much hard work, and then it's like, oh, okay, that was easy.
Is it better than 11/23/63 or 62?
Oh, because that was a Stephen
Yeah.
King show. I would say more things happened in that show, but acting wise and suspense wise and entertainment wise, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of another limited series better. Well, it's not a limited series because there's a second one. Is it better than season 1 of Truth Be Told? It's like a murder mystery.
I would say so, yes.
Okay, excited. I'd like to see it then. Okay, well that's our 3 recommendation.
Well, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for helping Luke. I hope you liked our recommendations to watch. Like and subscribe. Let the force be with you. Bye-bye.